If you get to my age and you're still doing music, in the vast majority of cases, it's not for the money, because there isn't any. It's because of passion. It's because you find something in that activity that stimulates, that talks to something deep in you, something you need to do, something you want to do. Now, I was very lucky. I found that passion, my passion, very young at 5 with the piano, and I discovered that music was going to be a huge part of my life. And I trained very hard over a number of years, taking that passion through the technical expertise that's required to get to a sort of level where you enter the National Conservatorium and you're a pianist. And at the end of maybe I'd invested, probably about 13, 14 years into piano, and by the end that was 6 to 8 hours a day with the technical aspect of my instrument. I'd already discovered that what I wanted to do was less be a pianist, be a concert pianist, but I actually wanted to lead other musicians. I was very lucky to study with one of the best conductors and teachers in Melbourne where I did my studies before I moved to France. And after 2 years of study with him, we'd studied everything technical, what you need to know to be a conductor, a leader. So we'd studied the scores. I don't know how familiar you are with classical music, but when you conduct a group like this, fortunately it's not 300 people, except maybe in some Wagner operas, but usually it's about 60 incredibly talented professionals doing at least 30 different things at a time at all moments. So your intellectual understanding of what's in that score is absolutely critical. I spent 2 years studying all the standard repertoire, and at the same time, as a conductor, you need to be clear. You need to learn the technical gestures, what you do with your body, to conduct. And after 2 years with this fantastic and very demanding teacher, I had the opportunity to conduct for the first time real live people, because up to there we'd been practicing in his living room with me pretending to be the orchestra and him watching me very, very closely. I said, "Maestro, I'm going to be conducting next month. It's the first opportunity." I was very excited. And he said, "No." I said, "I'm sorry, maybe you didn't understand. I have an opportunity to conduct." And he said, "No, you're not ready." I said, "Maestro, with all respect, we've spent 2 years. I've already spent 13 years learning to be a professional musician, 2 years to specialize as a conductor. I know the scores. I know the technique. Why aren't I ready, Maestro?" And he said something that's stayed with me since that. Every day I think about this. He said, the technical expertise, the intellectual, knowing the score is incredibly important. If you don't know the score better than every single person in the orchestra, never stand up on the podium. It's a lack of respect. You have to know every note. You have to know what the second flute is going to be playing on page 65, practically from memory. You need that. It's necessary. But by far, it's not sufficient. That's only 10% of your job, that technical expertise. He said the other stuff we've been studying, controlling your body like you were a dancer, and he worked with Rudolf Nureyev for about 10 years, so he wasn't using a light metaphor. He said, opera's easy. If you mess up as a conductor, a good singer can just hold the note. If you make a mistake as a conductor in a ballet and the guy has jumped, he said you need to control everything you do, your face, your hands, your body, all the way to your feet, so that everything you do in front of an orchestra means something useful for them. And that's a long and complex job, dissociating the hands, understanding what you're doing with your face when you don't mean to. But he said that, when you master it, that's only 10% of the job. All the rest, the 80% that remains, he said, is psychology. Now, I thought I'd completely stumbled into the wrong discipline. I hadn't come to study psychology. I'd come to be the leader who knows how he wants it done and knows how people should be playing. But then I began the long study of all the rest. He said, what you don't understand is that an orchestra is a strange beast. First oboe has on average spent 35 years training technically to be at the top of his profession. Second oboe hates him with a passion. He too has spent 35 years training to be there and believes he should be first oboe. Now, of course, first oboe knows that second oboe wants his job. The two of them dislike the bassoons because they know a bassoon is like for bad oboe players. If you can't make the cut, you learn to play the big oboe. The winds hate the brass because they know the brass always play too loud. The winds and the brass hate the strings because I don't know why composers since the beginning of composition have always given the best bits to the strings. The strings hate each other within the string divisions. The cellos know the double basses are just bad cello players. Everyone knows the viola players are the worst string players in the orchestra. The first and second violins hate each other. And all the way up the first violins, this rivalry, right to the very first chair. And he said to me, the only thing that unites them all is their shared hatred of the conductor.